planning to build a NAS server, you really do not need much. Just a hard drive, a SSD for your boot drive, and that is it. A normal computer would do. You can easily go ahead and expand your setup in future. Maybe you want RAID, or maybe you want to add 10 more hard drives and do other things with it. You can easily do that in future. But for now, I'm going to build a NAS server using the most basic setup possible. Just 4 GB of RAM, 128 gig of SSD, and a 4 terabyte hard drive. You can have as many terabytes as you want to, but I have 4 terabyte on hand, so I'm going to use that. Unfortunately, this system doesn't have any sort of redundancy, so you do not want to use this system for high reliability applications. The first thing we need to do is go ahead and download TrueNAS scale from the website. So now we have the copy of TrueNAS scale. Now we can plug in the 32 gig or 16 gig thumb drive into our system and burn it. So I'm going to open Balena Etcher, and here it is. Okay, I'm going to flash it from the file, and I've selected desktop. And we'll select the target. It's my 32 gig thumb drive, and that's it. It will start copying everything to the thumb drive, and then we can go ahead and plug it into our server. So now we can go ahead and get started with the installation process. All we need to do is grab our thumb drive and put it into our server. Okay, so now we are in the boot menu, and we'll start the process of installation. Okay, so install. Although it says that it needs 8 GB RAM, but in my opinion 4 GB is more than sufficient if you are really not doing too much with it. So I'm going to select my SSD. Proceed with the installation. Yes. Apparently you need to press the tab button. I would say that you should create a 16 gig swap partition if you have that much space available. Because I'm not using too much RAM, I do not have too much RAM. It's just 4 gigs. So having a 16 gig swap partition makes sense. Perfect. So the installation is done. And I'm going to remove the stick. After the installation was complete, I ran into some trouble. The system was not booting up, and I figured out that it was the issue with the BIOS, so I have to update the BIOS. And then unfortunately the BIOS update didn't went as expected. It bricked the motherboard. Then I have to figure out what was wrong with it. Finally everything is up and running. The installation is okay. If you have Lenovo systems, please make sure to be a little bit careful with the BIOS updates and make sure that you're doing everything right. So we'll go back to the system and start from where we left. So I'm starting up my system, and hopefully everything will work out as expected. Okay, everything is booting up. The only thing that we need to do at this stage is to grab the IP address that we'll use to access it from our web browser. This process is pretty straightforward. There's nothing much to it. You just need to grab the IP address, copy it, set it static in the router. That's it. That's all you need to do. Okay, so now it's done. Now we can see that the IP address is 192.168.1.106. That's it. That is all exactly what we want. And you can go ahead in your router, set this IP address static. Now we'll go on to our router and make sure that the IP address is static. So you can see the router, and I have already made this IP address static. So it's pretty much good to go. If it's not static, you must set it to static. Now I can go in and know the password and the ID. Okay, so everything is looking good. We have plenty of free space in our memory. And we'll go ahead into storage. We'll create a pool. This will be our pool. Since it's just one drive, it will be set to strips, but it recommends you, if you're having multiple drives, the best scheme possible. Okay, so I think I need to add the Samba share. So we'll add the Samba share path. It gives me the path, default parameters. So I prefer Samba share just because I'm using it on multiple drives, multiple operating systems, I mean on Windows, Macs, iOS and Android and whatnot. So Samba share usually works for every kind of system. They are nearly flawless. So we'll just go ahead and save it, or let's see what's there in advanced options. Okay, I'll allow guest access so that I don't have to put in the password every time. And that's it. Yep, we'll start the service. Perfect. Okay, now let's see. Let's see the dashboard. Okay, this appears to be active. Let's see. I'm hoping that I'll see Samba share. It's here. Okay, as expected, the Samba share is working now. You can see it here, and the drive is active. That's it. It is pretty straightforward, very easy. It's very much expandable. You can put in new drives and modify the configurations later when you have spare drives or you want to change things. I'm planning to add a cache drive and add a couple of more drives in there, but I think this is the most basic system.